You learn more, you earn more. It is time for another episode of Ask Pat, where Downing-Frye Realty's Director of Corporate Training helps you become more productive, professional, and profitable in your real estate career. Please welcome Pat Patoki and Cindy Woolley.
Hi, Pat.
Cindy, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am great.
I tell you, I know we're going to talk about the 3 Ps of marketing. And as that intro is opening, I was like, productivity, professionalism, and profit, man. You love P's, don't you?
Love peas. You can tell by my name.
Oh, gosh. It's profitability. I think that's everyone's top of mind. Is it doesn't matter what job you're in, what career you're in, what business you're running. Profitability. It's we're not our own individual nonprofits, right?
You bet. And we do a lot of work trying to encourage all of our folks to make certain that the activities in which they're involved are profitable and productive and producing profits, not just busy work. There's
Gosh.
a real difference between being busy and doing activities that are profitable and productive. Yeah.
Every time I log into my email, I feel that way. I'm like, oh, wow, it feels really good to go delete, answer, and get 100 emails cleared.
Yeah.
But then you go, wow, I spent 2 hours doing that and my core project didn't get done. So it's like busy work versus profitable work. It's such an eye opener when you really ask yourself, is this making me money right now?
And the first step we do when we coach or mentor is to ask people to track everything they do. It's just like tracking what you eat. You really don't remember half the time. Oh, I was doing this. So when you track the activities, we call those time wasters. When people will get up in the morning and a couple of hours will go by and they're sitting there in their slippers and PJs and they haven't really accomplished anything except really looked at some really interesting facts. And you just want to try to encourage people. The highest producers are people that sit down with tasks, complete the task, and move on. And it sounds very tough and boring, I think, sometimes, because there are people that like a little more flexibility. But when 80% of your time is devoted to non-productive, non-profitable actions and activities, you're going to earn zero, which is not good.
And Pat does not like zeros. She likes P's.
No, I like these.
Mnemonics, but no zeros.
Absolutely right. Zero is not a good thing. Um, Absolutely right. So, even when we talked last time, we talked about marketing, getting your branding done, knowing who you are, your core values, getting your branding really sharp and focused, deciding on design, color, font, all of that. Then you can start marketing yourself. Up until then, if every piece of marketing looks different, you're not going to achieve that
For
that
sure.
linkage. So, and last time we talked about using the 5 Ws. Always make sure your marketing really hits the audience. Well, how do you do that? One way, and there are many ways, but one way is to think about generational selling. I believe real estate is a relationship selling business. People like to work with folks they like, folks they trust, and folks they respect for
Mhm.
knowledge. If you don't have those three and that kind of relationship established, I think it makes it difficult. But I think relationship selling is something that we've got to start to think about. I have grandchildren who are in a very different generation. They learn their worldview is different from mine. Their view of everything tends to be a little bit different, not right or wrong, just different. They process information differently. They receive information and they value it differently. So I think, and there are certainly exceptions. I'm probably in one generation, but I use computers. I'm not a computer guru like Cindy, but I can use computers. And not everyone in my generation likes to do that, but everyone in my generation probably has more similar worldviews. As realtors, our customers are from a particular generation, and that can help us with our communication anyway. We can know what to ask to get to know that individual. If I were talking with you about buying or selling, I know a little bit about your background, but I would have to know a lot more before I would know how to tailor my approach to what you want, because what you want is much more important than what I want.
For sure.
As a customer. And when I'm for example, this year, for the first time in my recollection, millennials made the pie chart that NAR drove. And it was 2% of all of the properties purchased in the US were purchased by people who are millennials. And everyone said, "Oh, wow, who are they?" you know, more or less. But I think it's really significant that we understand that if you're going to be in the business into the future, some of the folks and the millennial generation is slated to become the largest generation, larger than the baby boomers generation. And they process information differently, and their worldview and experience has been really different from other generational groups. So we have to meet them there. I just think that we're in a transitional time, like I liken it to the time when we sort of transitioned from horses to cars. And you know what? If people want to stay with horses, they stayed with horses. But the world moved on.
World moved on to cars.
And the same thing happened with computers. There were people that were brilliant who worked on those spiffy IBM typewriters that were just magnificent machines, and they were wonderful and did all these things. And in one day, they were obsolete. And so the people that said, "Wow, I guess I better get some computer skills going," those adaptive people survived. And I think that's the kind of thing that we're in right now, when we're in this kind of the Super Bowl had a halftime show that was generationally different from all the shows that came before. Now, I understand not everybody liked it. I don't mean that, but it was different. It wasn't the same type of show. It was trained to an audience that was, I think, generationally different.
Oh yeah, and the just the contrast of the people and the time, and then taking you back to this era where it was there were literal gangs on the street, and now we're more worried about sensitivity training. It's just such an interesting contrast of what resonates there. But I'll tell you, I have a funny story with a client that I'm working on right now, and they're putting out a print newsletter because some people still like to get a print newsletter, but there's a lot of content. And so I suggested, integrating QR codes with videos, and, it becomes this engaging experience.
Sure.
And a good portion of their audience is going to struggle with it.
Sure.
But it's going to show that next generation that, wow, we're here and we're changing with the times. And, that we gave multiple ways to connect. And so Let's cross our fingers that everyone just loves it and the QR codes. But we've got so many videos, and I know that Downing-Frye's got options coming up with augmented reality, doing just the same thing.
Absolutely.
You scan advertisement, and it's not just seeing the name and the brand. You get to see a video of the person, and you get to see the person that you're going to be working with, because this is an emotional experience, for most people that aren't just.
Absolutely. And I think that is a terrific example, Cindy. People talk about, oh, print is dead, whatever. Those are print ads that you would put a QR code onto, or a business card or whatever. But it's kind of the next generation also. So it's what you would put into print that would match the generations. You could still do print or postcards or whatever, but putting a QR code as opposed to a paragraph is just a sort of a different approach that would appeal to, as you said, some folks, some generations. So I think from our perspective in real estate, and I know you as a marketing expert want to try to reach the audience. Where are they? How do they take in information? And let's reach them there. Because if we do not, they throw it away. If it's print, they don't read it. And I think that marketing is just so important in a relationship business, and contact and touching your sphere of influence, known folks and contacts is just so important. But it's how you touch them and what you say that really is the magic of trying to meet them where they are.
And it's funny, this highlights some of the generational differences too, is that context, right? If you say the words that the house is downtown,
Right.
in Naples, the older population is going to think downtown old Naples and has a style in mind.
Right.
But if you say the house is downtown to someone that's moving in from Orlando or New York City or a metropolitan area, it's so different.
Mm-hmm.
And the power of those video messages and that augmented reality is you end up getting to show them the context and show them the experience, so that the words that you say, even though they're the same words, they have a completely different meaning.
Absolutely. And I mean, obviously, I'm a believer in video. I think it's the absolute best way to be able, during this pandemic, we were able at least to see folks, which was really better than not seeing anyone, being in a little hole somewhere. And augmented reality, we are so excited about that, particularly because it gives so many options to the person, to the realtor, to make a connection with someone. And it is just a wonderful thing to hit a QR code and have it come alive, and have someone really greet you, speak with you, so that you get a little bit of a feeling, a first impression anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do think that's the future.
Absolutely.
I really do. And when you have someone who can guide like you, that makes it even better, because for me anyway, because that help is very much appreciated. It's one thing to want to do something, but you have to make sure that you have the correct way of getting it done and reaching people. So if you want to send postcards, but what's on the postcard is probably going to be different from what was on the postcard 2 years ago. Or
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I think the key to marketing is reaching the audience. And one of the ways is to sort of figure out who your audience is, and the generational pieces of information can at least help you ask the right questions so that you are not leaving someone out. Basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I don't know where you search, but I mean, I think I'm always looking up generational statistics, and Google
Yeah.
is my best friend. Is there a place that you go, or a place that you tell agents to go to get super reliable information, or where
I
would
think, yeah, I think as far as marketing goes, I think NAR has really reliable information about conversion rates, and make sure that they're recent if you're talking about something like a conversion rate or a
Mhm,
response rate,
mhm,
and generational selling. And when the millennials got on the official and wonderful the pie chart of the year, finally. Um, Everybody in NAR kind of, immediately went into, well, let's take a look at that,
mhm,
and let's see how can we, for the future, get ready for
mhm,
that. So there's a really good source. If you just Google that, you will find all kinds of information on generational selling.
mhm.
Some of it is good and some of it not so good, but I really would like you to look at buying behaviors, communication behaviors, and make sure that you know the source of that information that's coming to you, so that you, as you say, you can make sure it's reliable.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And this once you specialize in a generation, perhaps, that opens up perhaps an opportunity for a certification, right? We were talking
absolutely.
about how important those are.
I think those are important, and depending on the market you're in, there is the senior residential expert. That is a designation from NAR, and it really people are become aware of ways in which to help seniors remain in their homes, sometimes transition to
Mhm.
another type of living experience, and so that you can be a resource. We want every one of the realtors to be a source of the source. And in our market, we do have people that sort of specialize in that, because we do have those types of alternative living facilities and so forth. Um,
Mhm.
I think there's a really big push within that group to have people remain in their homes and be supported there, with services and so forth. But I think depending on the market you're in, if you're in one area where that simply doesn't exist as a need, that might not be, a wonderful investment for you. In another area, if you want to be able to say to people, I've studied this and I have these contacts and I have these resources that can help. I think that's just a wonderful, wonderful way to establish a kind of rapport.
Yeah.
And there are people that are advocates. I have two people that I know personally, that are realtors, and they're advocates for folks who seek an alternative lifestyle or having their needs met in
Mhm.
some manner. Depending on, my own belief is, as long as people can remain active, and they should, and in their homes. But I think that kind of generational approach is very wise. We do the same thing with veterans. Within real estate, we have people that are adept and have been through the designation to be able to support veterans better, so that their needs are met and they have access to support services. With young people, I think it's a matter of your keeping up. My grandchildren show me lots of things. You need to be open to that, and I think,
And
um,
maybe drop some M&M and some Super Bowl halftime on your augmented reality.
absolutely, and with augmented reality, I mean, I just think it's great. You go into restaurants here in Naples, and there are QR codes.
Mhm.
And so if it's the same type of thing. If you rebelled against the ATMs, and no one did. I mean, very few people did. I think now it's wonderful, but I think it's a matter of just learning how to handle yourself with it. But I think that videos and can be an extremely important way to connect among all generations. But what you put, the content has to be geared towards the audience.
I'm going to bring up Brett Carter and Nitesh with FDM.
Yeah.
We talked a couple weeks about prospecting, and Brett made me laugh because I'm divorced, of course. And he goes, okay, he's talking about these sources of referrals, and he you could literally specialize and work with divorce attorneys, and you're looking at millennials, and there are so many stages of life that you could be tapping into and really specializing in, because that takes a lot of sensitivity and something to go with. But you've got transgender and
Yes.
the LGBTQ community that you could specialize in, and millennials with kids versus millennials without kids, right?
Absolutely.
The dinks, dual income, no kids.
Yeah.
We've got so many aspects to explore that I think that someone could really tap into a unique segment of that market and go like gangbusters.
I think so. And I think before you spend dollar number one on marketing, you need to know what audience you are marketing to and how best to reach them and where to go to reach them. I don't think either of my children reads a newspaper. So would I go to the newspaper? I'm not sure that's the number one way for that particular age group. That doesn't mean it's unwise to do it. All I'm saying is you need to think everything through. And I think that's the part that gives people a headache. They'll say to me, oh, I just want to do it. Oh, okay.
I just want to throw my money away.
Yeah. And that's sort of what I think of that approach. But, I was a global realtor, so we had to figure out 15, 16 years ago how best to reach people in around the world. And we did that. That was a niche market. I think everything you do has to make sense to help you reach your goal. And you do that by meeting your audience and understanding who your audience is and being open to having that expand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, creeping up to 20 minutes here, or a little.
Wow.
You get to chat. And are there any final thoughts that you'd like to leave the Downing-Frye agents with?
I just believe, as someone who's spent an entire life dealing with communication, the most difficult task in the world is getting your idea into somebody else's brain in exactly the same way that you intend it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it does make your head hurt sometimes. The fifth time you look at something and say, oh, it's just not right. I understand it's very frustrating, but you know what? It's worth it because it's gold.
Absolutely. That investment right now pays off in reducing, the time you've got to put in later, and building the performance and the productivity, and getting Pat's powerful P's going in motion. So
absolutely. When you think of Pat, think of peas. I guess that's a terrible expression, but but yes, those were always my initials. So I never wanted them on my automobile license plate tag.
all right, my friend. Well, thank you so much. We'll say farewell today, and we'll see our agents next time. I think we've got some legal tips coming up here in the future, a little more marketing information. We're trying to keep everyone prepared and top of the game and stay on top of the market. So
absolutely. Success. Absolutely. Success 2022.
That's the plan. All right. Have a good one.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Ask Pat. You can learn more at Downing-Frye.com and make sure to follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn.